be exploring ratification of the US Constitution, or the drafting and accepting of the Constitution as our governing document here in the United States. So the US Constitution, as a review, is the supreme law for the United States. It is the foundation and source of the legal authority underlying the existence of the United States, and it also gives that power to the federal government. It provides the framework for the organization of the United States government, again emphasizing that the federal government is the strongest power, and they also give powers in the US Constitution to the state governments as well as the individual people. The Constitution was written by James Madison, and he's considered the father of the Constitution. Now, he drafted this document not knowing if it would be accepted, so he had some pretty important contributions, such as the Virginia Plan. He suggested having separation of powers, and James Madison also suggested creating a Bill of Rights to protect citizens of the United States. Can't forget the reason that James Madison felt the need to draft a new U.S. Constitution. We needed a new U.S. Constitution because we were having so many problems with our current governing document, the Articles of Confederation. So in order to start fresh, we decided to write a brand new document, the U.S. Constitution. When they had a meeting in 1787 in Philadelphia at the Philadelphia Convention, they intended to revise the Articles of Confederation, but they ended up replacing it with the brand new U.S. Constitution that we use today.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
It wasn't a simple design to create the U.S. Constitution. There are a lot of compromises and disagreements on how the Constitution should be drawn up. There are important outcomes of this constitutional convention, including the Virginia Plan, which proclaimed separation of powers. The Virginia Plan also wanted a bicameral legislation, which would give us the House and the Senate. They also included in the Virginia Plan that the federal government would have to increase its power. The New Jersey Plan was also prompted, and the New Jersey Plan was a bit different. It wanted a single-bodied legislature where every state received equal representation. They ended up coming up with a hybrid between the Virginia and the New Jersey Plan called the Great Compromise. It did include a bicameral legislature, which gives us the House of Representatives based on a state's population, and Senate members, and each state receives 2 senators. Wrapping up the Constitutional Convention and any arguments over the U.S. Constitution as we were drafting it was the 3/5 Clause. The 3/5 Clause, or 3/5 Compromise, stated that in order to keep population representation in Congress through the bicameral legislature, we needed to include slaves in our population counts, especially for the states that legalized and had slavery. So the 3/5 Clause states that for every 5 slaves, it would count as 3 persons toward your representation.
Houston, we have a problem.
Once the U.S. Constitution was drafted, it was now on the table for people to discuss. In order to ratify or accept the U.S. Constitution as the legal governing document for the United States, they needed 3 out of the 13 states to ratify or to officially approve the Constitution before it would go into effect. A huge debate emerged between 2 sides. On one side, we had the Federalists. Hooray, federal government! The Federalists wanted to give a majority of the power to the federal central government, while the Anti-Federalists were very much about the rights of the individual and were fearful that a U.S. Constitution would take away rights from people, leaving them susceptible to the corrupt possibilities of a government.
Boy, I've been watching you like the hawk in the sky. You are my prey.
Federalists such as Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay argued that we needed to give more power to the federal government, since we saw in the Articles of Confederation that a weak federal government means a weak country. Anti-Federalists such as Samuel Adams and Patrick Henry, they were opposed to the Constitution. They felt that a strong central government would take away rights of the individuals. Sam Adams and Patrick Henry suggested including a Bill of Rights in order to curb this issue.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
Eventually, the Federalists and Anti-Federalists will come to an agreement in their debate. The Federalists will agree to add a Bill of Rights to the Constitution once it is ratified and the new government convenes.
I gotta do is put my mind to the
Hope you enjoyed the brain food. See you soon.